Hey friends, I just wanted to share a couple words this morning. This morning I read a Facebook post by my neighbor and friend who said she just needed to get real today, and that despite so many people's efforts to be positive and uplifting, that sometimes in a crisis like this, you just need to get real. And she was getting real. So I have a couple words of my own and a couple words of somebody else's for that today. You might be worried about people you love, especially older people you love, or anybody else. You may be working through your own grief, your kids' grief, once in a lifetime events like high school seniors and their graduations have been canceled. It's not going to be the same. Life has been rearranged in a most unwelcome way. Her words really made me think this morning because, I'm a person who wants to just put the silly out there and make everybody smile. But I came to the conclusion she is so right. We need to get real. So, in addition to being encouraging and positive, I think we need to hold space for each other's sadness and grief and fear and anger, all the negative stuff. So I wanted to share with you a couple words from Eugene Peterson from his introduction to the book of Job in the Message version of the Bible. He says this: "It's not suffering as such that troubles us. It's undeserved suffering. Almost all of us in our years growing up have the experience of disobeying our parents and getting punished for it. When that discipline was connected with wrongdoing, it had a certain sense of justice to it. When we do wrong, we get punished. One of the surprises as we get older, however, is that we come to see that there is no correlation between the amount of wrong we commit and the amount of pain we experience. An even larger surprise is that very often there is something quite the opposite. We do right and get knocked down. We are hit from the blind side and sent reeling. This is the suffering that bewilders first and then outrages us. Suffering is a mystery." Of course, I'll say our first instinct is to avoid suffering naturally, but Peterson suggests something a little counterintuitive, and I'll continue with his words. He says, "Instead of continuing to focus on preventing suffering, which we simply won't be very successful at anyway, perhaps we should begin entering the suffering, participating insofar as we are able, entering the mystery in protest and in prayer, and looking around for God." Maybe in the middle of all our efforts at positivity, we need to take a little time to just sit with each other in the middle of our negative emotions and our difficulties, and nod our heads and then shake our heads and then take a deep breath and then let out a deep sigh. In the future, I will continue to share some slightly stupid things because I think it's important to laugh. But let me say that alongside that, in the middle of all that, I want you to know, neighbor across the street and others, that I am over here at an appropriate social distance, holding space for you and for us in our sorrow, in our grief, in our frustration, and our loneliness. Maybe together we can sit in the middle of it and look around for God.